What's going on, everyone? So, for the Lakers this year, it is absolutely championship or bust. There are zero excuses. If the Lakers are healthy and this roster with this talent, with this team, end up going to the playoffs, nobody should beat this roster. You got LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You're still the only team with two top 10 players. And then on top of that, you got the deepest roster in the entire league with a bunch of size, a bunch of versatility, a bunch of shooting, you got everything you need to win an NBA championship. This is the closest the Lakers have ever been to the 2020 championship roster. Now, obviously, chemistry and other factors are definitely going to need to play a role, but I don't see there being any issues as far as fit goes, talent-wise, like stacking up against other teams. Like, this is a championship level roster. But the present is absolutely bright for the Lakers. And you look at this Lakers roster and you're just like, they got the youth, right? They got the culture, they got the organization. Darvin Ham, I know some people feel like he's not the greatest coach ever. I actually think he was a phenomenal coach last year, given all the circumstances, but he's also a player coach that's been really good at managing players and managing egos, and he's going to earn his money this year. Absolutely, without a doubt. But you have the stars. You got Christian Wood, who absolutely is very likely going to make a huge impact on this Lakers roster. You got a ton of defense. You got a ton of just different players and lineups and configurations that you could do, different sets, different looks, right? You have like 5 to 6 guys that could easily go off for 20 to 30 points on any given night, right? You got LeBron James and Anthony Davis, Rui Hachimura, Christian Wood, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell. That's 6 guys right there that can easily, on any night, go give you 25 to 30 points on a regular basis, even if you wanted it to. And that's not counting like the outlier games, right? You know, you get a guy like Cam Reddish who just starts going off, or, a Taurean Prince gets hot, or, it's just, this roster is ridiculous. But again, the present is absolutely set, right? You have the opportunity, and in my opinion, the deepest roster that the Lakers have had since maybe the 2010 year, right? This is, in my opinion, the deepest roster LeBron has ever had, like front to back. Again, LeBron has had some very notable top-heavy rosters, but like front to back, this roster is stacked. And I know some people will point to, Ray Allen with the Heat, and it's like, yeah, I get that. But they still only had like 5 or 6 guys. And then they had guys like Mike Miller and things like that were basically out of the league at that point. Shane Battier and them, like they like retired the following year. Like, again, I'm talking about front to back, 1 through 14. Like in 12 of these 14 guys, you could even make an argument for them to start, right? That's how deep this roster is. That's how talented this roster is. The present is absolutely now. And I fully expect the Lakers to be one of, not the best teams in the entire league. I'm expecting them to be top 1 to 3 defensively, and I'm expecting them to be 1 to 5 offensively, at worst, the 5. Because, they were 7th last year, and now you have all this depth, all this talent. They should be up there. They should be one of, if not the best teams in the league. Now, again, chemistry, health, things like that are very important. But the other thing that I love, even more so than the Lakers being a contender now, because obviously we want the Lakers to win every year, right? And you should be absolutely pumped for this year. And you should absolutely be hyped that the Lakers could and should win the NBA championship this year. But it's not just this year, it's the future, right? Like, this Lakers roster, half of the roster is locked up long term. You have Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, right? We'll see what happens with him. There's a lot of questions with D'Lo. Is he going to end up being traded? He also could opt out after this year. So I didn't want to necessarily put him on like the image of the screen you see right now. These are the guys that I think Lakers definitely have locked up and will keep long term, right? You have Max Christie that needs to get an extension next season or a new contract next season. I don't see him going anywhere for the Lakers. The Lakers are absolutely in love with the guy, and he's a guy that they believe could end up being the next like superstar for them. And then You have, Jalen Hood-Schifino. Great combo guard. He showed some promise in Summer League. I actually wouldn't be surprised if he got some minutes on this roster, right? Because he's kind of our third point guard, right? And, you have D'Lo or somebody have the night off. Gabe Vincent gets the night off, whether it's injury or just rest or whatever, right? I could see Schifino getting some run, getting some burn. I don't even hate the idea of like Schifino just kind of getting a few minutes here and there sparingly and just kind of let him go. But you got Rui Hachimura. They just re-signed Jared Vanderbilt. Anthony Davis, obviously. He's the star that we have for the future. But you got Gabe Vincent. And then you got like Maxwell Lewis, right? And the Lakers have, out after this year, right? Because the Pelicans situation, all that stuff, outside of they have pretty much all of their picks for the foreseeable future. They have extra second round picks. Like, the Lakers are in great position, whether it's they want to keep this core intact and push for the long haul and try to be competitive and potentially win multiple championships over the next several years, or they have the pieces to go and make a trade or two, right? Like, if you needed to, let's say Lewis really is starting to emerge and he's becoming a legit two-way player, and let's say Jared Vanderbilt develops a 3-point shot, right? Max Christie does become that guy. You have a guy in Rui Hachimura that is a very tradable asset, very tradable piece. Right, you have Gabe Vincent, who you could end up trading. Let's say Schifino does kind of evolve into that guy, or you move Reeves to the point guard, and Schifino becomes the backup, and it's like, okay, well, we could trade a Gabe Vincent. If you had to, you could trade Jared Vanderbilt, right? Like Austin, like if you need to go get Giannis, right? Like then you could unload Reeves if you wanted to, right? Like, I'm not saying that they should trade any of these guys. I'm just speaking on the flexibility that the Lakers have. Picks, assets, and players are very important, right? Because if there is something where it's like, okay, well, this roster's getting stale, teams have kind of caught up or whatever, okay, let's make a minor move or two here and there. And it's not counting some of these other young guys that the Lakers may be able to keep long-term. Like, can they convince Cam Reddish to stay long-term? Can they convince Jackson Hayes to stay long-term? Christian Wood, if he works out, right? Like, let's say he's killing it for the Lakers. He's still young enough to where Lakers could sign him to a 4-year deal, and he's on the Lakers long-term too, right? You have several players on this Lakers roster that they could end up keeping long-term, and they're all extremely young. Like, outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis, like, everyone else is under 30. Like, Taurean Prince is the closest. Taurean Prince, I believe, is like, 29, right? But, like, even Christian Wood is like 27. So you have a very young, futuristic type roster as well. And I think that is extremely valuable. That is something that I think is very important because, we've seen the last few years just so much roster turnover, right? After the 2020 team, they went and upgraded in some positions, right? You go get Montrezl Harrell, you go get Dennis Schroeder. And look, if it wasn't for basically that roster getting ravished by injuries, I actually think that Laker team would have won. I mean, they were up 2-1 against the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix looked like they were helpless against that Lakers team. Anthony Davis was eating like it was, another day at the office, just eating my lunch. LeBron's over here making Jay Crowder his son. Like, it was looking like the Lakers were off to the races and about to go up 3-1. Series would be over. They matched up way better to Milwaukee than the Phoenix Suns did. And all of a sudden, AD goes down. LeBron was already on one leg. Dennis Schroeder, he was great for them. Schroeder, LeBron, and AD were the best trio in the entire league. They were plus a 15.5. Schroeder ends up getting COVID, and he was never the same. There were all the questions about the respiratory issues and all of that, right? Like, is he having issues there? And it just wasn't meant to be, right? They went and got Andre Drummond, which was sought as like, oh, like, man, that was a huge pickup, and it didn't really work out. His ego kind of got in the way, and it just kind of became a mess. Frank Vogel seemed to kind of lose some of these guys, and then, the Westbrook trade, and that becomes a disaster, and it's nice to know we have stability. It's nice to know that we have core guys locked up for the long haul, and this isn't just like, if we win this year, that's it. Everyone's going to leave, and now we have no chance of winning again. It's like, no, like, if the Lakers do win this year, the core guys, like, are here. And on top of that, the Lakers are in a position to where you see the last, 3 years or whatever it's been, 4 years, you've seen the lineup of young, have something to prove type players that are like, let me go to the Lakers, get that shine, get that exposure, get that limelight, and if I play good, I'm going to get a bag, right? So you're always going to have that door open. Lakers draft department is incredible. They A1 without a doubt. I mean, they're over here picking diamonds in the rough and getting undrafted guys, and you have a great farming system. I mean, think of guys like Colin Castleton, Alex Fudge, Demoy Hodge. Still have like Scottie Pippen Jr. and stuff like that. I mean, the Lakers have everything that they want. You have a head coach that, again, I actually like Darvin Ham. I know some people are kind of questionable on him. And look, he has a lot to prove this year too, without a doubt. And he's going to really need to he's going to earn his money this year. Let's put it like that. Because he's going to have to manage egos and figure out lineups and rotations. And it's not going to be all rainbows and sunshine for him, right? He's got to get all these players to buy in. But, I mean, think of the circumstances last year. He was basically given a dumpster fire and told to turn it into a penthouse. And it just wasn't working. And he was able to keep them afloat, end up getting the new roster. They didn't even play 8 games together. And they ended up making it to the Western Conference Final. That doesn't happen without good coaching. And like, I just saw so many people criticize Darvin Ham, and it's like, but they only criticize him. He became the scapegoat. And it's like, how? Like, how can you criticize the head coach for losing games, but give him no credit when you win? It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, either the Lakers solely lose on Darvin Ham, and if that's the case, then that means they solely win on Darvin Ham. So what is it? I mean, he outcoached Steve Kerr. He outcoached basically everybody. Like, he was doing fantastic. And I mean, even the Denver series, right? Like, the Lakers were right there. It was just a closing issue. The Lakers lost that entire series by a 23-point difference. Not a game, the entire series. Right? Like, so they were right there against a team that basically ran through everybody. And you don't do that without coaching. But the other thing is, too, is Darvin Ham is young enough, and the future of the Lakers head coach, again, strap in, because he's got, 4 more years on his deal? So, but he's young enough. He's going to continue to grow and have experience. He's a great locker room presence. He just has the gift of gab, right? He's going to provide that structure, that culture, and that stability for the long haul. And so Darvin Ham is going to get to grow and be familiar with these players. They're going to get to grow and be familiar with him, right? He's not going to have this constant roster turnover. I mean, that's very important. That's very valuable. I mean, you got to give Rob Pelinka all his flowers, and Jeanie Buss too, right? Now, Jeanie Buss has done some questionable stuff without a doubt, right? I mean, the Russell Westbrook thing, Rob Pelinka had other deals in the works. He had the Buddy Hield deal done. Sacramento's still all upset about that, right? Like, everything was done. DeMar DeRozan. DeMar said, I thought I was a Laker. He said in an interview, right? Like, there was a lot that, we saw Rob Pelinka try to do. I mean, even to start the season last year, he had a deal done for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, and Jeanie said no, right? So, like, Jeanie's had some questionable stuff, but Rob Pelinka has continued to just turn water into wine. Every time it looks like, here we go. Like, and people forget, after we won the championship, he kept the core, kept everybody intact, and then upgraded depth and talent. And Lakers were the favorites to win again. Everyone was like, give Rob Pelinka all his fight. And it just didn't work out because of injuries. Otherwise, they probably would have won again. They were still, before injuries and everything started falling apart, they were the number 1 team in the league. So it's just, the Lakers have everything. They have the culture, flexibility, the coaching. They have the allure of stars, right? They got Hollywood. You got the beaches, the glamour, the women. You got everything, right? You got that never-ending door of young talent that wants to come in and prove themselves. You have the ability to attract stars. You have the flexibility to make trades. Like, Lakers are set. Lakers are set. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Agree with my points, disagree with my points, somewhere in the middle. Love to hear it.